friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Wolu. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who have subscribed to my channel and have seen my videos. My channel is about sharing information on life in Canada, immigrating to Canada, and generally any useful information that's going to be beneficial to anybody who sees my videos. That's what my channel is about. So today I'll be talking about international medical graduates, medical doctors from different countries in the world who immigrate to Canada. I'll try as much as possible to be very objective so that they have a general idea of the reality on ground for medical graduates. So I received a message from someone who sent me a message, and that's why I'm doing this video. I'm going to be reading the message out, which says, I'm a medical graduate, however, I need to know the prospects for medical doctors who immigrate to Canada under the Express Entry. Could you please enlighten me on the detailed steps I need to take so that after immigrating to Canada I can still practice medicine? So based on that, I'll be reading out the detailed steps, and which is basically almost the same thing like the normal Express Entry application, but the difference is one has to, if you're a medical doctor and you're based anywhere in the world, if you're based in Nigeria, if you're based in India, if you're based in Sri Lanka, Philippines, Trinidad and Tobago, wherever you're based in, the first thing you should do is to go to the Physicians Apply website. I'll be leaving the link of the website on the body on this video, on the description box of the video. So the first thing is to go to the Physicians Apply website, and once you get to the Physicians Apply website, you confirm that your medical degree is recognized in Canada. You take the online practice tests and open a physiciansapply.ca account, and then submit your credentials for evaluation. And once your credential is evaluated, you can now create your Express Entry profile. Of course, you also need to write IALTS test and pass the test as well, so that you can create an Express Entry profile. Once you do that, you can then submit your Express Entry profile, and you might likely get an invitation to apply depending on your age, and based on your qualification as a medical doctor, you're likely going to get an invitation to apply to come to Canada, and then you can immigrate. So that's the first step. But while you're doing that, you can also do one thing, and you can also take one exam while you're waiting for your immigration, for your permanent resident visa to come through. You can write the Medical Council of Canada Qualifying Examination Part 1, and you can do that anywhere you are living. Usually, as at last year, they used to have what they call MCCE, which is the Medical Council Examination. That's the first part. It's about 4 exams, but they took out one, and they took it out in November 2018. That was just last year. So now they just have 3 exams to write, and the 3 out of the 3 exams, one can be written outside Canada before you immigrate. That's just to, if it's possible, to shorten the number of years you spend in trying to get your license to practice when you finally immigrate to Canada. So the MCCQE Part 1 exam can be written anywhere in the world. They have about 500 prometric test centers, because it's a prometric based exam. You can write it anywhere in the world, and if you pass that one, that means what is left for you is just 2 exams, and those 2 exams, they have to be written in Canada. So once you get to Canada, the second exam that you need to write is the National Assessment Collaboration Examination, and that one would once you write that exam, it's going to qualify you to get into maybe a residency program or residency training. Yeah, then after that, you take the Medical Council of Canada Qualifying Examination Part 2, and that exam, this MCCQE Part 2 is going to give you the licentiate of the Medical Council of Canada. That's the full license. So I think those are the steps. Apart from that, you also have to join a practice ready assessment program, and then I think that's basically it. Yeah, so that's basically the steps to practice when you land in Canada. So that's the paper, or will I say paper? I won't use the word paper. I think that's just the steps. The first step is getting your credential evaluated, and I'm giving out the summary again. Take the practice test online, open a physician supply account. Then number 4 is wherever you are, write the MCCQE Part 1 test, which is organized or done by Prometric. And then once you get your visa to come into Canada, you come into Canada and write the national assessment, hold on, so that I say it properly. National Assessment Collaboration Exam, that's one. And then the final exam, which is the Medical Council of Canada Qualifying Exam Part 2. Yeah, so that's basically what you need to practice when you land in Canada. The major obstacle for most immigrant medical doctors is getting a residency. That's the major obstacle. And I'm going to show a video of a couple, both of them immigrated from Sri Lanka. I saw that video when we just immigrated to Canada in 2016, and it highlighted, or it talked about the challenges of international medical graduates who are in Canada, the challenges they have to face in trying to get their licenses and in trying to practice when they arrive in Canada. After you see this video, I'll talk more about what the challenges are. Because of copyright issues, I don't want to go above 30 seconds, so I'll be breaking the video into 2 parts. The first 30 seconds to talk about for the video to show, and then later on I'll show the second part of the second 30 seconds of the video. But I'll also leave the link of the video so that you can watch the full video if you're interested. It's a video that was done by CBC Canada, and it's a program called Hello Goodbye Canada.
What did you do back in Sri Lanka?
We both were doctors. I am an anesthesiologist. He did transfusion medicine.
And so are you able to practice medicine here?
No, not yet. And we are finishing our exams, and I'm doing one in September, and I'm planning to apply for residency this year, this November.
So you have to redo that process?
Yes.
Here in Canada?
Yeah. Yes, everything from the beginning.
What are you doing in the meantime if you can't practice medicine?
I'm working in Walmart.
In Walmart?
So, like I said earlier, the major challenge every medical doctor who migrates to Canada faces is not just writing the exams, because the exams are quite expensive, just like the lady in the video mentioned, about $10,000. It's not just writing the exams or passing the exams. The major challenge is getting a residency, and there is what they call currency, practice currency, and I don't know whether it's the right phrase I'm using, but it's currency of practice or practice currency or something like that. What it means is, if you are out of practice for a number of years, that means you can't go back into the medical profession. And to get the license, the full licentiate, the LMCC, the full licentiate, that which is the licentiate of the Medical Council of Canada, to get the license to practice, the major requirement is getting a residency. And getting a residency in Canada is highly competitive, in the sense that there are so many medical students who are already in Canada, and there are also Canadian medical students who have gone to the US to study in Canada, to study medicine in the US, and also planning to come back to Canada to practice. And there are also international medical graduates who are coming into Canada in their thousands. And then the spots for residency are so few, and they are so few to the point that they consider only, some provinces consider just Canadian medical graduates, while some provinces leave it open for people to compete for the little available spots. So for instance, there are about 2,000 medical graduates waiting to get into residency, and the only spots available is 20 per year. So if you're an international medical doctor coming into Canada and you are among the 2,000 graduates, you have to be competing for 20 spots available per year, which is, like I said, is highly competitive, and most of the time preference is given to Canadian medical students or Canadian graduates, people who studied in Canada, people who schooled in Canada. Most preferences are given to them. But there are a few provinces who also give opportunity for international medical graduates, and those provinces are Nova Scotia, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Newfoundland and Labrador. These 4 provinces have been able to create spots for international medical graduates. Like in Manitoba, they have about 20 spots for international medical graduates to compete in. So if they have, let's say, 300 spots available for residency, 20 spots is left for international medical graduates. And for that 20 spots, it means that all the international medical graduates from different parts of the world are to compete for that 20 spots. And if you have about 1,000 international medical graduates in Manitoba, those 1,000 people are competing for only 20 spots. And there are some provinces that also give what you call provisional license to enter medical practice. So those provinces, I've not been able to do research on them, because the last time I know of British Columbia, but they were specific to people who graduated from, people who had their medical licenses from certain countries like South Africa and Australia or something like that. Those group of international medical graduates from those countries, they were given provisional license to practice, which is not the full license. It's just how will I put it now? It's just it has some restrictions, which means you still have to pass the exams and get the full license to practice. The reality on ground is that there are so many healthcare practitioners. There are so many. In fact, there's an article I read where they say there's an oversupply of healthcare practitioners in certain areas. But unfortunately, there are few spots for these people, for this group of people. And there's a reality that not all international medical graduates are able to get back into the medical field. For some people, it takes them as short as 3 years. I know of somebody whom it took about 3 years. I think I'll be doing an interview with the person someday very soon, so that the person can talk about his own story. He even worked in Walmart. That's just the reality on ground. While there are some people who, and he, after working in Walmart, he was able to write the exams and he was able to get his license, and now he's practicing, and now he's a medical entrepreneur in Canada. But there are still also some people who are not able to pass the exams, who are also not able to get their residency, and because of the currency of practice, I don't know whether it's called currency of practice. What it means is you have about 5 years or 6 years to be able to get a residency, and from the residency get your license and practice. If you do not get those things within that year, it's like you have to go back to school, medical school again, to start all over again. So it is not all international medical graduates that come into Canada that end up becoming medical doctors in Canada. There are a lot of people who fall by the wayside. There are a lot of people who cannot cope with the demands of the exams. Some people fail the exams, some people write it so many times, and there's also restriction on the number of times that you can write the exam to pass. So like I mentioned earlier, the major obstacle, the very biggest major obstacle, is getting a residency in Canada, because number one, the spots that are available are very small, and you are going to be competing against so many talents from around the world. So it's not just you. And based on that, a lot of people get frustrated, and a lot of people just switch careers. And there are a lot of medical doctors who have switched careers from medicine to accounting. Some people switch to project management. I know of a lady that switched from medicine to accounting, and she's doing well as an accountant. and some people, you know, just keep struggling. I even met a medical doctor from India who ended up becoming a cab driver. So that's the situation on ground, and that's the reality on ground. And it's good that you have this information handy, so you prepare yourself and prepare your mind of what is going to happen. And the funniest thing is, the Canadian government is also making efforts to try as much as possible to open more spots for residency for international medical graduates. But there is so much to be done, you know, there is still so much to be done. And I hope I've shared a useful information to anybody out there. Please share this video, inform your friends, loved ones, and anybody planning, who is a medical doctor planning to come to Canada. Inform the person that there is a reality on ground, and the person should be prepared of the outcome of, you know, the outcome. I'm not trying to be very pessimistic. I'm not a pessimistic person. I'm an optimistic person. But the person should have a balanced idea of what it is like. That the person might be able to practice dependent on if he or she gets a residency, which is very important. A residency is important to getting the license to practice, or the person might be among those who fall by the wayside. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye bye.
And I work at Valley Village.
So you've got to go into a whole different...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was totally different. I almost cried. This is not what I did in Sri Lanka. So, but we knew that we had to do that to find some money for the exams. The exams are really, really expensive.
What is the cost of doing an exam here?
It's around $10,000.
And you both have to do that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We sacrifice, right? Life is sacrifice.